Yeah, so I've got the new Caliber 3s here. I thought I'd do a bit of a video reviewing them, I suppose. So I'll probably talk a bit about the trucks themselves because there's a variety of specs and different variations of the truck you can get. Talk a little bit about trucks in general because I feel like trucks are kind of a more, not necessarily complicated, but there's a bit more to them with skating compared to other gear. I'll let you know how I've set my Caliber 3s up and why I chose to go with that option. They'll talk a bit about what I think about them. I'll do my best to explain. I feel like a truck is a little bit more preference based, but I'll tell you what I found, what I thought about them. Talk about what I'll be using them for in the future and the kind of stuff that I think they'll be good for me. Then I'll give a bit of a recommendation as to who I think they are suited for or who might like them, or maybe what you would use them for if you were thinking of buying them. Yeah, so I guess something else that's cool about this is that they kind of popped up out of nowhere. Caliber 2 came out, I don't know, like 2014 or 15. I had Caliber 2s in 2015, and there hasn't really been anything new. It was pretty cool to see these just kind of hit the market. I didn't know, I hadn't even heard rumors or anything. It was just like, oh, there's new trucks today. So I bought a set right away because I used to ride Calibers back in the day, and one of the main things I always said about why I didn't buy more was I was like, there's no rake, and I like rake trucks, so there is no option for rake. Something else I thought was really cool about just the way that Caliber did this was they've posted a whole lot of videos of their team riders going through how they have their truck set up and which variation they have chosen and why, which is something kind of new, I think. I mean, I've never really seen team riders for companies going into detail about the way that they use the gear they're riding. Yeah, I just thought that was a pretty cool way of doing things. You can see what other people are setting them up as, and it's just like, yeah, transparency, I guess, because it's like we all know that they're riding cast trucks and that they must be doing something other than just riding stock, how they come out of the packet. So it's cool to see them say, hey, look, this is actually what I do, and then this is what feels good for me. So there is two hanger width options. There is the 10-inch 184mm or the 9-inch 157mm. And you can get the hangers raked or not raked. And then for the base plates, they come in 50 degrees and 40 degrees with or without a shim. And the shim allows you to, like, you can remove the shim and you can put in a tall bushing. So I bought the 44 degree plates with raked hangers with the shim, like removable shim available. The reason I did that was I've been riding the narrower hangers most for like the last couple of years, so I wanted to keep with that. 44 is a bit lower, a little bit more stable. Not a huge difference, but that was the one I chose to go with. And I went for the removable shim because I've been riding tall bushings a lot, so this can get me kind of closer feeling to the trucks that I've been riding. The other thing with the raked hangers is you have the option of flipping them for negative rake. But I haven't even bothered with that. I messed with that with my K4s when I first bought them accidentally, and it wasn't ideal. And I messed with that with RF1s when they came out, and that didn't feel good. And I know that I wanted the rake, so I was like, well, I'm not even going to bother flipping them because why would I want to have the opposite of what I wanted? But there is the option to flip them and have the negative rake if you're that way inclined. Yeah, that's how I have mine set up, and it's been interesting to ride them. I haven't really ridden symmetrical trucks that much for a while. And I haven't really ridden cast trucks in a while either. I've actually been riding precision trucks for about 6 years now, almost exclusively. So there might be a little bit of bias in my experience with these trucks. But in saying that, they were actually really nice stock, like straight out of the package stock was super nice. That's the other thing, they come with like Venom bushings stock and like aftermarket pivot cups, so they actually come already slightly customized. But yeah, straight out of the packet, I hopped on them, just tried them to see how they were. Didn't tighten or loosen anything, just left them. And they're super responsive, super divey. I wouldn't really say loose because they don't feel loose, but just very responsive. They come with 98 barrels, short barrels all around. Yeah, I am, what am I, like 70 kgs, so like 150 pounds or something. I would say that's a reasonably middle average kind of weight. And they were quite lively. So if you're a lighter rider, maybe they'll feel good. If you're heavier, you're probably going to want to swap out bushings to something a bit harder. Which is actually what I did. After fiddling with a few different things, I landed on running a tall keg boardside and having the Venom plug roadside. The reason I went with that was because they were, like I said, a little bit too responsive and lively for me. So putting that keg in there just sort of limited that a bit. They're still quite like very lively, very maneuverable and very responsive, but just toned down a little bit from where they were stock. Yeah, they're actually super stable. So when I'm saying divey and responsive and lively, I'm not saying like wobbly or loose, that you're rolling along and you feel like you're going to shake everywhere. They're actually pretty solid center point, and the return to center isn't super aggressive, it's just snappy. I don't have a ton of fast runs around where I am. Probably capped out at like 40 to 50 k's an hour, so 30-ish miles an hour. But these things were holding up plenty fine for, tuck leaning corners in a grip run and drifting, tight turns, or stand-up slides with a bit of speed behind them. Felt, just as good as any other truck that I've been riding. So that was really actually surprising for me. I've been on Precisions for so long, I kind of thought, I'm going to go on a cast truck and it's going to be all funky. No, they were solid. I would be happy to ride these on just a regular skate day. I don't know if I would want to take these down a mountain or, like an open road kind of setting. Maybe. I have the option to not, so I would probably not. But they are very solid trucks, and I think a big part of these, with all the different options for them and the customization potential of them, is like you can probably get them to a really sweet spot where they feel, right up there as far as trucks go for a solid dialed setup. I don't have that many bushings and I don't run multiple trucks, so I kind of just put whatever bushings would work for me in here, and they feel good. So I think if you could put on like a wedge and mess with your bushings a bit more and those kind of things, you could actually get them pretty well tuned. In saying that, I'm probably just going to be using them for like my side setup, bike paths, going to a car park sesh, like cruising around town, that kind of stuff. They're not gonna, take over my spot as like my truck, which is fine. It's not what I bought them for. I mean, they're a $60 truck. So I think for that price and for the fact they're cast, it's pretty cool what they can do. Yeah, so I guess like who I would recommend these trucks for would probably be any beginner getting into the sport at all. These are, like I said, $60 trucks. They're cast trucks. They're cheap. They're probably the best truck in that price range right now. Like, for me to hop on them and just feel like that good right out of the packet, I don't think you could ask for anything better than that. If you're just getting into skating, you don't really even understand or know about all the different things you can do to trucks, that's what you want. You want to be able to put a truck from when you buy it straight on a board and ride, and you can do that on these. 100%. It also means for beginners, I know like I did when I was getting into skating, I got really interested in taking apart the board and learning about the different parts and playing with things. And you can do that right away, even with just the one you buy. Plus, like, the potential is there for you to buy another set of a different spec, and you can kind of pick and choose and mix them around, all for being significantly cheaper than precision trucks in the market. And like I said before, you can probably get them feeling really good with just a little bit of fiddling. So for beginners or people on a lower budget, these are definitely the truck you want to be looking into. And I guess anyone like me who wants to have like a side setup, a throw-around side setup, if you only ride like, I don't know, narrow and big splits on one tiny board, and you're like, hey, I want a single kick that I can cruise around town on and still be able to free ride or downhill on, these the trucks for you. Like, they're cheap and they perform as good as you would need for anything. Like I said, any random average skate day, like these are going to perform. So I would strongly recommend that to anyone who's been thinking about them as a side setup like that. Really solid trucks for that. Yeah, I guess that basically sums it up. I think they're a solid truck. I'm going to be riding them for a while. Got them on my side setup. I skated them on a bike path just the other day in the rain, which was really fun. Yeah, I like them. I think you'll like them. Very nice.